You're living with someone who has never once been truly afraid of you until the day you stopped needing them. And that single shift, that quiet moment when you chose yourself over the chaos, cracked something in them that they will spend years trying to hide. Hi, this is Dr. Elena Voss. If this channel has ever helped you make sense of something you couldn't explain, subscribe and leave a like. It means everything, and it keeps this content reaching people who need it. Here's what most people get completely wrong about narcissists. We assume they're fearless, untouchable, that the confidence, the charm, the control, all of it means they operate from a place of strength. But clinical psychologists have known for decades that beneath that polished surface lives one of the most fear-driven personalities in the entire human spectrum. The narcissist isn't powerful, they're protected, and there's a significant difference. So what exactly terrifies them? Not failure in the way it frightens the rest of us, not loss, not grief, not even death in the conventional sense. What a narcissist fears at the deepest level is being seen accurately. The real self, the fragile, hollow, approval-hungry self they've spent their entire life constructing a persona to conceal, being exposed to the world. That is the fear everything else traces back to. Psychologists call this the false self, a term coined by object relations theorist Donald Winnicott. The false self is the performance, the curated identity the narcissist presents to the world, competent, magnetic, superior, always slightly above everyone else in the room. It's not a choice they make consciously. It was built as a survival mechanism, usually in childhood, when showing vulnerability led to punishment, rejection, or complete emotional unavailability from a caregiver. The false self kept them safe then. Now it runs the show entirely. And here's the fascinating, almost tragic irony. The narcissist believes in their false self. On some level, they genuinely cannot distinguish between the performance and the person. So when someone sees through it, when someone names the insecurity underneath the bravado, it doesn't just feel like criticism, it feels like annihilation. This is why exposure is their number one fear, and why they fight it with such disproportionate force. A normal person called out on bad behavior might feel embarrassed. A narcissist called out on bad behavior will burn the entire relationship down to regain narrative control. The reaction is never proportional to the offense, because to them, it's not about the offense, it's about survival. The second great fear sits right next to the first: abandonment. And this one surprises people because narcissists are so skilled at discard, dropping people, replacing them, acting completely indifferent to loss, that it seems like leaving doesn't touch them. But that behavior is the fear in costume, the preemptive strike. They leave first so they never have to experience being left. Research on narcissistic attachment styles consistently finds that under the performance, most narcissists carry what's called anxious dismissive attachment, simultaneously terrified of being abandoned and compulsively pushing people away. They engineer closeness only to the degree that they can control it. The moment a relationship starts demanding real vulnerability, real accountability, real reciprocity, the narcissist manufactures distance, or conflict, or a reason to leave, anything to stay in control of the exit. Which brings us to the third fear, and honestly, the most useful one to understand if you've ever dealt with one: your indifference. Not your anger, not your sadness, not even your disappointment. Your complete, quiet, unbothered indifference. Anger feeds them. Sadness confirms their significance. But indifference? Indifference communicates something the narcissist's entire psychological system cannot process, that they are simply not that important to you anymore, that you looked at everything they are and decided it wasn't worth your peace. There's a reason going completely no contact is so effective, and why narcissists consistently escalate when they sense it beginning. Your emotional reaction, whether positive or negative, is called narcissistic supply, and it's the fuel their self-image runs on. Cut off the supply, and the engine starts making very strange noises. Suddenly, the person who acted like you were barely worth their time is texting at odd hours, showing up in unexpected places, recruiting mutual friends, posting things that are clearly aimed at getting a reaction from you. The mask slips. The fear surfaces because your indifference holds up a mirror they spent decades running from. Here's the last one, and it's quieter than the others, but just as powerful. They fear their own inner world. Silence, solitude, the absence of distraction. Most people find moments of stillness restorative. For a narcissist, stillness is dangerous because the moment the performance pauses, the questions start. And they have no framework for answering them, no real sense of self to return to. This is why many narcissists are perpetually busy, perpetually stimulated, perpetually surrounded by noise and people and chaos, not out of passion for life, out of avoidance of themselves. Understanding all of this doesn't mean excusing any of it, but knowledge is the thing that finally stops their behavior from feeling personal. Their fear of you seeing them clearly was never about your inadequacy. Their need to control you was never about your worth. Every move they made was about managing a terror that existed long before you arrived. I'd love to know, what moment first made you realize the narcissist in your life was operating from fear rather than power? Drop it in the comments. Those realizations are worth sharing, and you never know whose bulb you might switch on. See you in the next one.